Today he's delivering his speech from level 4, manage project successfully from innovative planning path, title Missteps and Me. Missteps and Me to Toastmaster Gautham Deori. Missteps and Me, Toastmaster Gautham Deori. Over to you.
Thank you. Do let me know once you see the screen.
Yes.
Yes, bright and red.
Bright and red. Thank you. To start with, what are missteps? Like that is something that we have always been hearing about. And in project, isn't that the best place where we have all our steps wrong sometimes, along with the right ones? And that's how we have always gone through it. And this is when I thought about, okay, why don't I start something new on my own? And trying to look into beyond work as a project manager, program management. This is something I've been doing for all these years. And then I thought, okay, why don't we do something that is very close to what I believe in and what I felt was a need at that moment in time. And that is where the whole concept came in. To begin with, we called it Hikka Dikka. This is the name of the institution that we build in. It's an online thing that's how it metaphored into. More about, if you can see the logo, it talks about Hikka and Dikka. As you might have guessed it is about educating. Okay. And it is in my native language. That is where we started. And the genesis of this whole thing was, as kids who are growing up in Tamil Nadu, children from Assam, how do you learn the mother tongue? How do you learn the language? And what I've noticed over the years is when I moved back from US to India, I thought my son and daughter would pick up Tamil. To my amazement, what I learned is hardly kids talk Tamil. All of them are the lingua franca for them is English. That's when the realization came in that there is a need to focus on the local languages that they are around. My son was courageous enough, he took third language as Tamil. But then the botheration was always there. How do I teach him Assamese? And that is where this whole thought came in. Like me, there were other like minded parents who said, yes, that is a focus we can bring in. We developed a plan. Like this was over discussions, over a cup of tea, whenever we went to a friendly dinner or chat. It becomes, can they talk in Assamese? Can they read, write? Read, write was a tall order, but if they can appreciate the language, good enough. How do we tell them the stories of our land? How do they appreciate the words, the culture, the rural, the urban, and then the song and dance? Without that, what's the point? So this was the genesis of what the project is all about. Totally came out of a dining table. We were just sitting around, and then it evolved into something that we wanted to focus on. Then, as it always happens, it's all a project. And as a project manager, I thought this should be cool, right? I'm like, we have a plan, we can discuss it out. But then what's there with friends? It's friends only, right? We don't have to document things. We can always talk it out. We understand each other well. That's when we found out that was the first misstep I made. Friends or not, it's a professionalism that is more important. It's important that you document your things, your narration, your expectation. That's when our first plan went for a toss. We started in February, but by the time we could roll out, it was almost 2 months because we were all over the place. We were online, we went global, and like everything was there. Before we could focus on, let's get some people get trained. Who is going to teach? People. We are talking about friends, but then we need a team here who can think align. Aligning people was a tougher challenge. And that's where the purpose becomes much more important. We learned it the very hard way. It took us time to come to that point where we said that no, where we were forced to say no to things because we were very polite because we were friends. So that's one thing that we understood. Communication. We always say we are always connected. We are there on WhatsApp. We can do this, we can do that. But then what we realize is how often are we having the focused communication? Since we are friends, We think we are communicating, but we are not focusing on the agenda that we have in mind. And that's another reason I find, well, if you have to do it this way, then it have to think differently. That's when I thought about like what Narayan Murthy, the Infosys gang, I call them, like when they came up with their strategy, they said only one person from the family can join the board. It's not both of them. And they took a very conscious decision. And that's the mistake we made, I think. The partnership that we developed, we were six of us, but then two of our couples are there. So breathe in, breathe out. You are part of that setup that you're talking about. You do preparations in the house itself. So that is something that needs to break. So that's one more thing that we learned the hard way. Periodic meetings, do we set it up on a periodic basis with an agenda? Something that we so talk about in Toastmasters, but how often do we actually land up doing it? So that was one. Ideas out of the box, so easy to say, and so often we keep on saying this. But then what I realize is all I need to do is ask people. And since we were talking about kids, the best thing that came out is from the kids actually. The moment we asked them, what should we do for this event? And they were forthright coming up with such innocuous ideas that it was fun to implement them. Sometimes we would give them the control. Why don't you take care of managing this event? Like, and our event, like being a Toastmaster, I had this advantage that I could rely on the model that Toastmaster has taught me. And that's where I said, okay, why don't I use this framework for the purpose itself? And then getting feedback. So this was a constant thing because though we were saying that we were doing it for school kids, it was the parents that mattered the most, and we had to hear them out. Net, when I look back, we started around 9th of February when we had our first WhatsApp group created. 15th of February, we had our first roundtable conference at my house around a dining table. Lockdown started. And till that time, everything was let's book a hall, let's do it here, let's do it there. How much will it cost and all? Then suddenly everything became online. We had our first Zoom meeting on March 29th. And since then, like we have been going strong. We have crossed 49 meetings. We have it every Sunday. We have a 15 students, 5 teachers. It's a 2 hour session. And then like it's been fun so far. And then we realized all of a sudden we need a break. Not every Sunday, only 3 Sundays a month. And that's what we decided on. So every step counts, and let make every step matter in the long run. That is the message I want to convey. And like Ratan Tata would say, I don't believe in taking right decisions. I take decisions and make them right. Thank you. Over to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you. It was